Hey guys, what's up? All right. It's Double Deuce back. Welcome to my channel, Radio Out of Control. Today we're going to do a little flashback. I guess in reference to a build that I have coming up. So we're going to do a little flashback, a little history lesson, and we'll go from there. So grab your popcorn, whatever you want, your beverage, and chill out and stay tuned, and here we go. Okay, so here what we got. We got the old Hilux. Okay, now when these things first came out, it was early 80s. I think 81, 82, somewhere around there. Maybe as late as, or the late 70s. I'm not quite sure when this chassis first came out. I'll have to do a little homework on that because I've probably forgotten more than I know. But so this is a kind of a Frankenstein build of a Hilux, the early Bruiser, because they say, oh, the Bruiser started it all. Yeah, it did. It was pretty cool. This here's an original from way back, and I do have my black one, which was the first Bruiser I ever bought downstairs. And I've had these things enclosed in glass and all that, and you can see that these things got some wear. The body's got some run on them. They're all banged up, beat up, painted. Well, this one here I bought as a shelf queen. And so back in the day, I wanted a Bruiser because it was the monster truck version. And they still had these around. And they also had another unique build, which I'll get to in a minute. But these things all featured like an aluminum solid frame, the axles and all that. They're live axles, they're not differentials. And they also had these wicked cool locking hubs where you could unlock the hubs and lock them in, and which is pretty neat. Now on this one here, I bought the Bruiser double wheels, and I cut them in half, and these are aftermarket Hilux wheels, and the Blazing Blazer, and I bought a set of these and just sanded them down lightly, and they fit right inside this. So I kind of got myself a nice 2.2 looking wheel out of the old one, because these are 1.9s, these early ones. So now I got a 2.2, nice beefy wheel on it. And so when these things were flying around there, this was like the light duty version, because the gearbox had basically the same gears, but they had a smaller 540 can motor in it. They didn't have the big 750. And over time, the parts are here and there, and so I collected a ton of parts for the Bruisers and some of these, and because these really weren't on my collection list. But if anybody has recently checked out the prices for a Blazing Blazer, which is basically the same chassis and everything as the Hilux, it just has a different body on it. Got the radio box in the back, and if you can find one of them today, it's like, you might as well go out. You could buy yourself a lot of RCs for what you're paying for that clear plastic box. I'm surprised they haven't repopped it yet. But see, none of that mattered to me, because I was a nitro guy, and I wanted to nitro one of these things. Now, if you look at this one here, you'll see it's got T-Max decals on it, and I had that nitroed for a while, and that's where the body got all beat up on the thing. That's when you start losing drivetrain parts. Like, that's when I found out that the brass couplers on the drive shafts wore out really quickly when you put a lot of power through them. And, things broke, because of the, just the horsepower. It wasn't, you think it was an all-metal gearbox, it would take it, but it didn't. I stripped out a few, cluster shafts on the transmissions, because they're only pressed on with splines, and over time, you know, I did nothing but keep trying to improve the nitro version of it. So I did finally come up with a nitro version of the Bruiser. I combined a T-Max chassis and, you know, and all that with a bunch of axles and, you know, and everything else. And it's in my early videos. I had to put a cage around the thing. If you look, it'll be the bronze one. I actually converted that back to electric again to brushless power, because I didn't want to, you know, you got to keep evolving in this hobby. So the reason that I brought this old girl out of the glass case was to talk about what's my next upcoming build's going to be. Now, I have done so many nitro conversions on these things because I like the nitro. I think they're pretty cool. Nothing better than a total scale truck with a scale looking, you know, 4-stroke nitro engine in it. And so I ordered the new Toyan Sand Cruiser. You can see that's a pretty sick truck, and it is looks like a very high quality kit of the Blazin' Blazer. Now, the reason I bought the Sand Cruiser, for one, it has a 3-speed gearbox in it. It's got a new carb on the thing, single carburetor on the L200 with like a little fuel pump in it. And it features a locking front differential. You can lock and unlock it. So there's a lot of features of that thing. And the L200 is a really good engine with one carb, because I've ran them with one carb, and but they're okay with 2 carbs too. You know, I mean, they're 2 carbs. It's just more of the higher end tuning you got to spend on the thing. And the problem with nitro, you take it out one day, it runs great, you get it all dialed in. Next day, the weather's a little different. You take it out, it runs like crap, then you got to retune it again. And when you're doing that with 2 carburetors, it gets really time consuming, and it kind of takes the fun out of it. So the new Toyan Sand Cruiser is based on the old Tamiya Blazin' Blazer, which I think was pretty cool, because I was going to buy a Tamiya Blazin' Blazer, and I was going to convert it to a nitro. The problem is, by the time you buy the Blazin' Blazer, they're anywhere from, like, you know, $1,500 for parts to about $4,000 or $5,000 if you find one. And the kit's just too rare to get and cut it up and make something out of it. That's why I like the HDP 407s. And as you can see, I've done many builds with the HDP 407s. They're just a Bruiser, you know, 2nd generation Bruiser clone. They got differentials in them, and they're perfect. They're, you know, they're about $300, ready to run, and so you're not going to have a ton of money converting them to a nitro as much as you would if you got something like this to convert it to a nitro. So, long story short, I'm waiting for the Toyan Sand Cruiser to come. I'm going to do a full, you know, full build thing on it. I'm going to show everybody. It's dollars over cents to buy it. I'm telling you right now, because this is the very first production nitro off-road 4-wheel drive, you know, scale-looking truck. And it was really cool that they kind of copied the Blazin' Blazer which is nice because it honors that first series of these you know, live axle 3-speed trucks. So anyway, stay tuned, you know, for you know, updates on when I get it. It's just like I say, you cannot buy some of these, especially an older kit, and convert it for the price that they're getting out of theirs. It's a bargain, because everything that they have in that truck is not really on the market yet. The only way you can get the 3-speed gearbox or the single carb with the pump and the intake manifold is to buy that truck right now. They've done some field testing with it. I've seen some videos on it. One thing that I did notice on the wheels look a little floppy on the front. Which, I don't know, could be, they say everything's CNC machined and all that stuff. I won't know until I get it. And I did see on one of their, the videos, when they jumped it, one of the forelinks was hanging down. And that's another bonus too. When they built the truck, they made it like a 4-link instead of a leaf spring truck, which is, you know, really nice, because leaf spring trucks, you know, nitro, they just don't really go well together. They bounce around and go crazy, and you're constantly rolling them over and everything else. But we'll see what it is when it gets here. Like I say, stay tuned for the build series on that. It's like you say, it should be shipped out any day. I bought it, you know, a month or so ago, and I've been waiting for it to show up. And so when it gets here, we'll go through all the parts, pieces. We'll do some comparison on these trucks, you know, the early Tamiya trucks, and then we'll go from there. So anyways, like, share, subscribe if you want. Tell your friends, and stay tuned for the build. And I'm not one to be teasing stuff. This is on its way, so you guys are going to see it. It ain't going to be could be, maybe, might be, I might do this, I might do that. It's coming. And like I say, for the money, I think that truck, being it's the first ever, just like the Blazing Blazer and the Hiluxes were, these were the first 3-speed trucks, you know, and it just blew the world away. And they're super highly collectible now. The clones, it's nice to have those, like the HG 407s, because you can hack them up and do whatever you want. There's a million of them out there, and they still make them today. But the you know, the Sand Cruiser, I think, is going to be a super collectible one day, just because it's the very first crawler, you know, off-road basher with a you know, basic live, real scale looking chassis and a 4-stroke nitro engine. It's not water cooled, though it's the air cooled version. But I imagine with a little creativity down the road, you know, I can buy a X-Power or something else and put in it. And like I say, the NR200 is an outstanding engine. I love that engine, and it's, you know, that's a possibility down the road too. So I'm taking a break from the L400s for a while, as you can see over there. You know, I got my Toyan V8, the two L400s together, and I got, you know, taking a break from them because all I did was try to fix problems with those, and I got no fun release here. So we're gonna get back into some fun release, and we'll do some comparison. And, you know, hey, knowledge is power, and when we can figure out what we like, and now the manufacturers are now coming around to making things that we want and all that. Like I say, I suggest I would buy one, because the Sand Cruiser itself, yes, it may have some problems, but so did all these. You know, these had problems. Like I say, you know, stripping out gearboxes and, you know, for these things here. You know, people paid a lot of money for these kits back in the day. I mean, I think they were like $500 back then. And the first thing that happened was these hubs shit the bed on you, you know, because you get them all sand and dirty and everything else. And then they gummed up and stripped out and, you know, it was a big problem. So every RC is going to have some kind of a problem. So, you know, like I say, I'm giving Toyan the benefit of the doubt because they're stepping into, I guess, an upgrade. Because right now they're only building engines. And some of their engines are great, other ones have some issues. But now they're stepping into the RC car market. And I think that's a good thing. Because now we won't have to spend hours and hours and hours trying to buy this and see if we can fit this bracket on there or, you know, whatever we need to do, because it's all going to be there for us. And down the road, we'll just be able to order the parts for them. And we'll be able to do a conversion of our own. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I like doing my nitro conversions. You know, and I probably still will do them. But, you know, for Toyan to step up and say, hey, you know, we're going to build this because, you know, they see us doing it. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be a super collectible kit. I don't know if it's a limited run of these things or if it's just the, for instance, like when the Blazing Blazer come out, it was the, you know, it was the king dog back then. It blew everybody away, and you know, then they stopped making them. You know, you couldn't get parts for them. You know, then they made the Hilux. Unfortunately, you could steal the pieces you needed off the Hilux and still order the bodies. And then they built the Bruiser, which is a totally different animal in a way because like I say, the front gearbox is different, bigger engine. You know, there was a lot of different things they had to do to the, you know, the Bruiser, you know, to make it last because it would, you know, it would break pretty easy because now we're running them harder because we got bigger tires on them and we got more battery power. So, but anyway, stay tuned for the build, guys. I don't want to keep on rattling on and boring you, but I'll catch up with you later, man. Adios. Have a good one.